It's just ironic considering how the Valkyries play and how one-sided the officiating was. Now, we're going to pull up some of the fouls from last night. I believe it was 50 total fouls. Guys, y'all understand it was 50 damn fouls called last night? 50 fouls. 50 fouls, bro. 50 fouls. Now, let's listen to what was caught.
Tiffany Hayes was picked up on a hot mic making remarks that raised a lot of eyebrows before the press conference even began. Hayes was overheard complaining that officials would never start calling fouls on a particular player, with the implication being pretty obvious to anyone paying attention. The irony of that statement was hard to miss, considering the style of play the Valkyries run, and how one-sided the foul calling appeared to be throughout the game. There were 50 total fouls called in that contest. 50. That number alone says a lot about how physical the night got. The hot mic moment itself was brief but striking.
Caught on this damn hot mic. She's probably not happy about this. And we're going to listen to the press conference.
If they did, she would never get to play in games. No questions? I'll ask. What? If they did, she would never get to.
And then they came in and was all like, no question, no questions.
If they did, she would never get to.
Hayes could be heard making the comment right as the press conference was getting underway, just before someone rushed in saying there were no questions, which only made the whole thing more noticeable. The press conference itself was short. The previous night's presser with Aneka ran only about 2 minutes total. During the actual post-game questions, Kaylee got asked about her career-high performance and credited good floor spacing and attacking off the dribble, along with finding mismatches. She also gave Hayes credit for contributing to that. When asked about takeaways heading into the rematch the following Thursday, the response pointed to defense as the main area to clean up, noting that giving up 90 points is too many regardless of the opponent. That 90-point number is worth putting in context.
Question? No questions?
If they did, she would never get to play in games. No questions? I'll ask. What?
Wow. Wow. Wow, it's just all I can say, man. Now, I have not watched their presser in its full entirety, and I want to look at it real quick. I reported on Natalie presser yesterday. Looked like they only talked for 2 minutes.
The Indiana Fever have been putting up big offensive numbers across the board this season. Against the Wings, they scored 104. Against the Mystics, 102. And they have cleared 80 points in every single game played. Against the Sparks, they were held to 87. Against the Storm, 89. And they hit 90 against Portland. And then again against the Valkyries. Notably, the Fever are the only team this season to score more than 80 points against the Valkyries. A fact that stood out when flagged and then confirmed after a quick check of the numbers. Stephanie White's handling of the team also came up for discussion. The general take was that the coaching relationship with Clark is still developing, with both sides feeling each other out. Clark is described as coachable, similar to Christy Sides in that regard, but also someone who is going to take control of the ball when the moment calls for it.
Looked like they only talked for 2 minutes. It was only a 2-minute press. So this was the hot mic moment caught in real time here. And let's blow this up. I want to hear the questions that they asked them. Let's see here. Let me play this.
They're never going to start talking about it. If they did, she would never get to play in games. No questions? I'll ask. What?
Christine, what?
Why do you have to ask questions?
The second half of the game seemed to show some give and take between the two, which was viewed as a positive sign. There was particular satisfaction in seeing Clark finally speak up on the court because White needed to settle down at certain points, and Clark stepping in seemed to help the whole team settle. Misha Hines-Allen drew attention for how she handled the jawing between Clark and Hayes. She came over, stepped between them, and made her presence felt in a way that clearly gave Clark a boost of confidence. It was the kind of teammate moment that resonates beyond just the play on the court. Sophie and Lexi were also trying to get in the middle of things, but Hines-Allen's physicality made the biggest impression. The pick and roll also made a full return in this game after being less prominent earlier in the season.
Why do you have to ask questions?
We gotta get close. Caitlin, you had a career high tonight. What was working well for you tonight?
Dang it.
Oh, sorry.
Good job.
I feel like we did a good job just spacing the floor and attacking them off the dribble. Yeah, getting mismatches. Tip did a great job too of that. I just want to say.
Got a career high. Give me some. That's what's up.
What are some of the takeaways we can take from tonight going into next Thursday when we play them again?
Clark was seen leading defenders into screens even on possessions where she was not receiving the ball herself, which freed up Aaliyah Boston for mid-range looks off the drop. That level of detail in running the action speaks to how well those two are starting to connect again. Boston herself had a massive night. 20 points, 16 rebounds, 2 steals, and even knocked down a 3, shooting 8 of 15 from the field overall. The bond within the group was on display in a moment that caught a lot of attention. When Clark got knocked to the floor, teammates came rushing across the court to her. It drew a comparison to the Iowa days, where players like Kate Martin, who may have been the only one from that squad to make it to the WNBA, were not heavily recruited prospects, but played well above their recruiting profiles because of the system Clark created around her. Iowa as a program travels exceptionally well and fills arenas regardless of sport, and that culture clearly carried over into how this Fever group is starting to play together.
Just coming in focused from jump. I think our defense is our bread and butter, and 90 points is too much for any team for us. So I just think
I want to see how many points are the Indiana Fever at this season with scoring. Because if it's, to my knowledge, okay, so they didn't score 90 against the Sparks. Bro, is it me? Okay, so they didn't score 90 against the Storm.
Clark went into that game visibly locked in. There was an edge to her demeanor during warm-ups and the open portion of the presser that suggested something was different. When she stuck her blue Gatorade tongue out during a stoppage, it only confirmed that she had shown up ready to compete at a different level. The overall feeling around this game was that something shifted, and the numbers and the moments on the court back that up completely. The recent confrontation between Caitlin Clark and Tippa Hayes brought into focus exactly why Misha Hines-Allen's arrival in Indiana matters, and why the role she fills is more nuanced than the word enforcer typically suggests.
The Fever has been putting up big numbers. Hey, the Fever have been putting up big numbers on these teams, bro. Look at this. So going back, right? So when they played the Wings, they had 104. They played the Sparks. The Sparks held them to 87. They played the Mystics. They got to 102. They played the Storm. They got to 89. Last night,
But that framing misses the point entirely. The purpose of an enforcer isn't to start something. It's to make sure opposing players think twice before going after the star. The deterrent effect matters more than the reaction. When Clark picked up a technical foul and the situation with Hayes started to heat up, the risk of a double technical was real. Officials have handed those out for far less. The moment things began to escalate, Heinz Lallen moved in immediately and without theatrics.
They played the Storm. They got to 89. Last night, 90 against Portland, 90 against the Valkyries. The Fever has been scoring over 80 points every game. Every game. That's pretty good. So I don't think offense is the issue still. I still think it's the defense. But if you're the opposing team preparing to play the Fever and they're averaging over 80 points a game, that's an uphill battle.
She didn't step in front of Clark to make a scene. She simply made her position clear. The conversation ends here, and nobody is getting through to the point guard. Hayes read the room. That kind of intervention requires a specific type of presence. It's not about being the loudest or the most aggressive player on the floor.
Shines Allen. So Caitlin is on a tee. She's getting into it with Tip Hayes. Refs have given double T's for less. Refs have absolutely given double T's for less than this. No question about that. Should it be a double T? No. This is two players just chirping at each other. It's basketball. But as soon as this is happening, so if Caitlin steps forward, it could be a double T. Immediately Maisha Hines Allen. And this is not like a performative thing. Whereas we've seen plenty of times Caitlin in situations where people are going at her.
It's about being someone that opponents genuinely don't want a problem with. Sophie Cunningham is tough, willing to engage with anyone, and backs down from nobody, but she doesn't carry that particular weight. Hines Allen does. There's a meaningful difference between a player who isn't afraid of confrontation and a player whose involvement in one changes the calculus for the other side. What Hines Allen demonstrated in that moment is also the more valuable version of the enforcer role. De-escalation rather than retaliation. Stepping in before something spirals is a far better outcome than reacting after the damage is done.
Not a performative thing. Whereas we've seen plenty of times Caitlin in situations where people are going at her and her teammates are kind of walking away, or teammates will get involved when it resorts to pushing at halftime. No. Before anything happens, Maisha Hines Allen immediately, yeah, I'm not even going to look at Tip Hayes. You're not getting to my point guard. Does not matter. We are not escalating this situation. This situation is not escalating, but you are not getting to my point guard. And that is exactly what you need. So even though they're still talking to each other, Tip Hayes is in the middle of it.
An ejection on her own terms, if it ever came to that, would be a trade the Fever would accept. But it rarely needs to reach that point when the presence alone is enough. Beyond the physical and protective side, it's worth being clear that Hines Allen is a legitimate basketball player. Statistically, she has ranked among the top defensive players in the league. She's spent her career operating in that space between starter and quality bench contributor. A versatile post presence who brings real production. The enforcer conversation shouldn't overshadow that.
They're still talking to each other. Tip Hayes is in the middle of it. She's like, fuck this. We're like, oh, Caitlin's backing off. She's got to go back on defense. Well, Maisha Hines Allen immediately, and Tip Hayes, as this is going on, it just stops. You don't need to step in front of Caitlin. Whereas you see Kayla Thornton immediately going and yanking off Tip Hayes. It is as simple as Caitlin or Maisha
From a contract standpoint, the Fever appear to have gotten excellent value $1 million. The expectation might have been a fairly even split, but the numbers reportedly favor Hines Allen's deal heavily, making her arguably one of the best unrestricted free agent signings in the league relative to cost. Billings, by comparison, is widely viewed as an overpay, though contracts matter less than overall team performance. On that front, the Fever's broader competitive picture remains a work in progress. The league as a whole opened the season in somewhat uneven fashion. The Aces, despite being among the best teams, dropped a game by 30 points, yet still sit near the top of the standings.
Or Maisha Hines Allen just stepping in front, being like, "Nope, you are not getting to. You're not getting there. There is no way. There is no way that you're getting to my point guard here. This is my job. It's my job on the floor, and if you go for me, I'm willing to go get tossed." And that's the big thing, because you better believe if Tip Hayes, while this is going on, if she continues chirping with Caitlin, it's one thing. But if she goes and shoves Maisha Hines Allen, well, one, she's not going to shove Maisha Hines Allen. Let's be.
Kelsey Carter has entered MVP conversations. The Dream may have been the only team that came out of early play looking consistently sharp. The Sky were dealt an early blow with a key injury. For Indiana, the Hines Allen signing represents a genuine upgrade in team structure, not just in personnel, but in the kind of identity it helps establish. Protecting Clark on the floor, both physically and situationally, is not a minor detail. It's the sort of thing that compounds over the course of a long season.
Well, one, she's not going to shove Maisha Hines Allen. Let's be very clear. She's not going to shove Maisha Hines Allen. But like, if she goes at MHA in this scenario, and instead of turning away, Maisha Hines Allen's probably got free reign then to get herself chucked. But that's what I've always said. And people are like, "Oh yeah, Sophie Cunningham's the enforcer." It's like, nobody's scared of Sophie Cunningham. Just putting it out there. Nobody's scared about Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham won't back down from anyone. She's tough as nails, and we all kind of know that. She will fight anybody. Sophie Cunningham's not scared of anybody, but nobody's scared of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham's not scared of anybody, but nobody's scared of Sophie Cunningham. Maisha Hines Allen is willing to get into it, and this is the one thing when it comes to that people don't realize is like, the enforcer doesn't have to go in there and hurt somebody after the fact. Now, people talk about that. It's like, she doesn't have to go in there and hurt someone after the fact, or cause a situation to spiral completely out of control. What an enforcer can do is immediately just go in and make sure that it doesn't escalate. Make sure that it doesn't escalate. That it doesn't escalate, which is exactly what Maisha Hines Allen did. And that's one of the reasons why I'm big time on Maisha Hines Allen. Because I know when obviously, when she was the enforcer, like people were talking about her being, the enforcer, and they don't need an enforcer, they have Sophie. No, like Maisha Hines Allen good at basketball. Let's not get it twisted. She's good at basketball. She's been statistically the best defensive player in the league. Like, she's good at basketball. Defensive player in the league. Like, she's good at basketball. You've then obviously got a situation now where you've got a player who is very, very obviously good at the sport and is tough. Teams are absolutely in no way going to fuck with her. And that's when, as a team, you're like, okay, we're good. And